Welcome back to Captains of Industry. Still with me in studio is William Mzimba, the CEO of Accenture, and they have a secret sauce so tightly held, and I suppose even in a bigger vault than what we have the KFC recipe and the Coca-Cola recipe. Tell us about the secret sauce of Accenture.
Well, in its nature, it's a secret. I'm not supposed to divulge it, so I get fired for telling you that. But, we do have one. And it's embodied in a combination of things. And one of the ingredients of the secret sauce is our people. And the fact that as a global multinational, we are able to harness the whole power of all of Accenture's people and bring it to bear when we are talking to our clients in terms of delivering high performance for them.
Is that all you're going to give us?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Well, let's just also touch on the fact that you focus a lot on education. You have a very strong educational background. Tell us about how you managed to study in the UK. We're talking offline, and you were saying that it was all through correspondence.
Yes.
You're working and studying at the same time, and you instill this in the people that work for you.
You know, the power of being able to balance your priorities is very important. Today, in the role that I am doing, and in the past, when I was still predominantly a student, doubling up as somebody who is working, because I had to work to raise the funds to pay for my tuition. So that has been very, very important. And I think what you learn out of it is the ability to have a great sense of self-discipline. But at the same time, as you are expanding your knowledge whilst you are learning and working, it allows you to have resilience in everything else that you do. So yes, I've been helped quite a lot by the fact that I associated with, firstly I studied at UNISA, so there I learned the power of having to self-pace in terms of studying. And after I finished with UNISA, I said, this is actually doable. So I wanted to do an honors degree, and that I could also do without having to be in a classroom on a full-time basis. Similar, when I wanted to do a master's in business administration, I could do that via correspondence.
When you were born in Limpopo.
Yes.
What did you know about technology and personal computers back then?
Quite funny, actually. When I grew up, I only knew about either being a teacher or a nurse or a truck driver. So I was fascinated by truck driving, and all of the noises the trucks used to make as the guys were changing down the gears. And but I had chosen out of that I wanted to be a medical doctor. So I didn't know anything about technology. Actually, I could say that I stumbled on technology because I remember when I was at a business college in Pretoria, the owner of the college wanted to introduce computers as a means of teaching in the school and teaching people how to understand Excel, spreadsheets, and Word, PowerPoint. And he had gone overseas and found that people were learning, personal computers. And when he came back to South Africa, he asked if there was anyone who would volunteer to go learn about computers, to be able to teach the computers. And I raised my hand, and I started learning about computers. And the following year, I enrolled at UNISA to do a computer science. So that's how I got into computers. Okay,
well, it also take us back to those defining years and what really shaped you to the man that you are today. And I keep going back to the view of, ensuring that you are part of a very high-performing company. And this is now your mantra, and this is what you instill in people around you as well.
Absolutely.
What defined this for you? Was it the fact that you were paying your way through university and working at the same time? Is it because you have experienced tough times that you realize that you want to move away from this and be successful?
Yeah, it all started, I think, with just self-discipline. You raised with parents who haven't been to school, not educated. My father was a miner, and my mother was, at home, never worked. And you then, in a village where the most educated person is somebody with probably a standard 8, and so there's very little. So what really helped me is that I had some priests who came from Germany, who were educated, understood the value of education, and I was very dedicated in church. And I think they saw potential in me, and they started coaching and helping, and they got me to, to do some activities in the church that exposed me to a couple of things. And I recall very well when I finished my Standard 8, and I needed to do Standard 9 and 10. We didn't have a Standard 9 and 10 at the school where I'd been, so I had to move to another village. They gladly assisted me with this process, and I went and relocated and stayed with my grandparents, and so on and so forth. So throughout all of these things, you learn a couple of things. One is humanity. You just learn that, people invariably out there are out to do good if you are good. And by being good, that you get blessed with a lot of things. You get blessed with people that really want to help you because you do good, and they can entrust some very important things with you, however small they are, and later they can entrust you with big things. My grandfather, having arrived at the village where he stayed, he had a corner cafe and a shop. He entrusted me with his shop because I had some level of education, and I could start servicing his customers. And he gave me priority even over his own children. So this is very powerful because he could trust me with the little things. And out of that, I learned that by doing good, you have other people willing to do good to you.
Speaking of doing good, you broke new ground last year, 16 million rand given back to staff members. Is this one of the reasons that Accenture is one of the best companies to work for?
Absolutely.
This year?
Absolutely. So what we did is many years ago, when this issue of black empowerment started in the country, people talking about it, a lot of multinationals said, no, we're not going to do black empowerment. We cannot put, multinational shares in the hands of, So we said, look, this is it's a business imperative for us, so we're going to go ahead and do it. And we put the 30% equity in a trust for the benefit of our staff. And when I took over the role of the CEO, I looked at this vehicle and I said, we need to restructure this thing so that it can start yielding some benefits prior to its, to its vesting period. So it did that, and for the past 2 years, we've been able to give dividend to the beneficiaries. So we're very proud of that.
So let's touch on the communications department. We've seen many changes at the top.
Yes.
We've seen something not happening with regards to the local loop unbundling. We're still waiting for the auctioning of the spectrum. There's a lot of things that are going to shake things up going forward that are really required by the industry. Are you disappointed at the fact that things are taking so long?
I must say, I'll first answer the question as a consumer. As a consumer, I'm very disappointed because I arrive at home, I have expectations that my 4 megabit ADSL line is going to perform at 4 meg, and I don't get 4 meg speed. I have a video conference or a telepresence or a telecommunication session with my peers elsewhere in the world. I can't do it from where I am. I'm going to need a special facility to do that. So I believe that is constraining economic growth in this country. I am also encouraged by the fact that the undersea cables have landed now, and very soon we are going to have the capacity we need for us to solve this telecommunication
Some
thing.
say that this is only really going to be solved if we sort out the last mile. So it's fantastic we have these cables coming to South Africa, but we need to get it through to the
last
consumer.
mile is absolutely very important.
Yeah.
And I remember that we've had lots of discussions in the capacity as a presidential advisory council member representing Accenture with government around this issue. So government is very much aware of the need for the last mile to be sorted out. I just think that the progress that they've made, and also the commitments that they've made and the targets to sort it out by certain dates haven't been met. And obviously that's very disappointing for us as a business, because it still costs us quite a lot of money to use telecommunications in this country.
How would this change your business once all these hurdles are overcome?
Firstly, we are a virtual business.
Yeah.
So communications for us is going to be very important in terms of our ability to sit here in South Africa and be able to interact with our colleagues wherever they are in the world. We have implemented things today called telepresence, which is saving quite substantially in terms of traveling costs, and also making a contribution in terms of our reduction of our carbon footprint. So we think technology can do even much more, because we will be able to do more interesting things leveraging technology instead of traveling and all of those things. And most importantly, it will lower our cost of doing business. At this moment, we can't. But the most exciting part for me is that it allows our clients in this continent to be able to adopt technology at a rate much faster than how technology has been adopted in the developed economies. And in fact, used innovative new technologies to leapfrog people that are in the developed without having to spend as much as people in the developed economies have had to spend.
William, you strike me as a man that doesn't have the word failure in his vocabulary. Is that correct?
I do have failure, but I don't dwell on failure.
So tell me about the most disappointing experience for you in your professional career.
There's quite a lot. I mean, I said to you that the first, when I joined Accenture, I had been on my second business. So when I started my first business, it was in those days when black economic empowerment wasn't even defined. So that was in 1989, whilst I was still studying. And the business didn't succeed. We hit the recession in 1992, and I had to, respectfully bow down, close the shop, and go look for a job. And it felt like a terrible loss for me, as though I had lost a family member, because this is something really I was very passionate about. That business was focusing on systems integration as well as computer literacy. So I was training matriculants and bridging the gap between when they've matriculated to when they get into the work environment or before they go into university, to give them some computer literacy. And it didn't work out because we couldn't get projects and so on and so forth. And that for me was the biggest disappointment I've ever had to face as a business person. But you asked me the question, would I go through such an experience again? Yes, because I learned such valuable lessons out of that short stint in that business that today those lessons are working very well for me.
I can see that you've got also a very strong entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
And you were once on your own. You're now part of a very big organization making a lot of headway across Africa. Any chance that you would go on your own again going forward?
To be honest, that chance always is there. There is a bigger platform right now within Accenture, and I think that I could do more with the platform I have within Accenture. And people talk about being an entrepreneur. I say you couldn't be an intrapreneur, which means within a larger firm or enterprise, you could practice your entrepreneurial capabilities inside there and do all the things that you could do as an entrepreneur building a small business. So here I am now building and expanding Accenture's footprint in the continent and doing that which we are doing today at a scale massive than what I could ever be able to do on my own. And I think that my contribution on this platform is much bigger and better than if I were to break out and do it on my own. So that's what is encouraging me to still stay within Accenture.
Fantastic, William. Thank you so very much. We have to leave it there. Great to have you on the program today. That, of course, was the CEO of Accenture, William Mzimba, inspiring us to do far better and to change things, whether you're in an organization or whether you're just an entrepreneur. From me, Eleni Jakos, it's goodbye.